Yeah.
Technology's not always great. Hence my children not loving to read.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to begin this evening's board meeting. Sergeant at Arms, has the lobby been cleared? Thank you. We request that all electronic devices be turned off or put in the silent mode. Also, please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentation portion of the meeting. I am pleased to welcome you to the July 31st, 2023 school board meeting. The time is 6 p.m. and this meeting is called to order. We would like to take this opportunity to remind members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential and the district's vision to be a world-class school system. This evening's agenda includes a moment of silence, pledge of allegiance, acknowledgement, public comment, consent action items, which include 2 items under board office, 32 items under academic services, 3 items under business services, 4 items under human resources, 31 items are under operations, 1 of which is good cause. Dr. Bernier, would you please provide an explanation of this 1 item?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, and members of the public, this evening I need to bring forward a good cause item to award a contract to renovate Fort Myers Beach Elementary School. As we continue to recover from damages suffered by Hurricane Ian, approval of this action will allow us to reopen the school and keep it on its timeline.
As presiding officer, I find there is good cause to add this item to the agenda. And then we have 1 item under resolutions and 4 items under good of the order, other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Mr. Fisher?
Motion to adopt the agenda, including the good cause item.
Second?
I second.
Ms. Langford Fleming. Moved by Mr. Fisher, seconded by Ms. Langford Fleming. Please record your vote.
Do we want her to vote?
Ms. Giovanelli, would you like to? Okay. Motion carries 5-0. As is the custom of the board, Mr. Fisher will lead us in a moment of silence. Afterward, Mrs. Giovanelli will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please stand.
Okay. Everyone, please bow your heads in a moment of silence. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Please be seated. Next on the agenda are our acknowledgments. We have a character word for July, which is self-control. There's a quote, "Self-control is knowing you can, but deciding you won't." The design you see displayed on the screen was created by Jenna Stanford, an 11th grade student at Estero High School. I like that. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Mrs. DePay Bruno, please address the item of public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. Please complete a public comment card and put it in the basket provided. If you need a public comment card, they are provided by our staff. The rules concerning public comment are posted in the back and will be made from the podium in the front center aisle. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. Concerns will be addressed by the superintendent or his staff as necessary, and the chair may comment as deemed appropriate at the conclusion of public comment. The superintendent may also comment if deemed appropriate. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on district issues such as duties, responsibilities, decisions, and the general operation of the district. The school board is viewpoint neutral during public comment. We ask that decorum be kept and respect be shown, which is what is expected when a government agency conducts official business. Therefore, abusive language such as cursing, insults, derogatory language levied against an individual or a class of people are prohibited. Further, personal attacks such as name-calling are prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, and booing or a display of temper during public comment is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order by the board chair or the parliamentarian. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per board policy. It's not 1.11 anymore, but it's our new Neola policy. I'll have to change that. And may be removed from the chambers by the sergeant at arms. Per board policy 1.11, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20 speakers, 2 minutes if there are 30 speakers, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allotted for public comment is 1 hour 60 speakers. You will find a countdown on the big screen in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone, and I will call you 5 speakers at a time. Please follow staff's direction when lining up. Mr. Chairman, there are 8 individuals that would like to address the board this evening, 3 minutes per speaker.
Thank you. Please make sure you've completed a public comment card if you do intend to speak. That's our public record identifying who speaks, and so we can follow up. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board but did not fill out a public comment? Attorney Bruno, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will the following individuals please line up? Jessica Hall, Denise Ebel, Joe Phillips, Patrick Finkler, Robert Daniels. The first speaker can come down to the podium. And just wait till the clock comes up and you'll see your timer come up, and once that's up, you can start speaking.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Hall. I have a son who will be entering kindergarten. In February, I properly and timely emailed Barbara Mateo with student enrollment to have my child enrolled at Treeline, as I had just moved into my new house. She replied to my email and stated that she received all the documents she needed to get him enrolled and that I had nothing else to do beyond that point. After going back and forth via emails with student assignment and encountering very unhelpful negative advice and a system I have no experience with called Focus, my son was assigned to a school that's 5 miles away from my house, which is Colonial Elementary, when the closest school to my house is Treeline Elementary, which is a 4-minute walk from us. I submitted a hardship waiver on July 22nd along with supporting documents as he suffers from a chronic condition, and due to my work schedule and my husband, who also works outside the county, we had made prior arrangements with my mom, who would be picking him up from school every day and bringing him and my 2 cousins, or his 2 cousins, to our house after school every day. I have been blamed by your staff, accused of not submitting documents on time when I have. I've been scolded for not knowing how to navigate Focus, which is new to me. I had no idea what Focus was until I enrolled him for school. I have been told by countless board members to wait for their callback, and here I am, still waiting since February. I have no other form of transportation for my child to get to and from school if my mom cannot assist me. I have been trying to resolve this issue since February, and no one seems to want to help. I'm here today with hope that somebody will want to help my son get into school. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. For the record, the new public comment policy is 0169.1. 0169.1. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. I'm Denise Eberly. I'm chairman of Alva Inc. Oversight Committee and also a board member. I have been emailing each of you about the NNN High School in Alva. First thing I'd like to say is it's Alva, it's not Lehigh. It keeps getting referred to as Lehigh Acres. No, we are not Lehigh Acres. Second thing, there seems to be a misunderstanding that somehow Alva Inc. is in favor of this. I can assure you Alva Inc. is not. It's opposed to this high school. There's a petition here. I've sent that to you showing the Alva Inc. members. And then the other thing is basically I'm here tonight to ask that you vote no on the approval of Phase 1, $7 million. And then I can just go through this quickly. I'd like to share with you our concerns with the recent choice to build the NNN High School at Tuckahoe and Joel property. Alva is a small, close-knit community of a rural and agricultural community. I don't know if you are aware of the extreme negative impacts this would have on our community. Also, the lack of infrastructure related to this property. There are no sidewalks, just one-lane streets. Packing house and Stiles roads, which have deep ditches along roadside. There's barely room for two vehicles to pass one another. There is no way that children could walk or ride bikes to the school. This would create a need for more traffic and busing in an already heavy congested area. Traffic would bottleneck and Joel Boulevard in both directions. Just use Buckingham Boulevard for an example right now. It'd be worse than that. It is simply too far for any child to walk or ride bikes, no infrastructure to support them safe passage. Included would be North River Road. There are no sidewalks or bike paths along the roads. The school property as well has no water or sewer. It's a heavy watershed which floods during heavy rains and floods properties north. Florida flows from south to north there. Lamstead and South Florida Water Management use the Greenbrier Preserve and the Scrubjay Preserves to direct water north. This is also a threat of contamination to the properties surrounding with pesticides, fertilizers, and herbicides. The concrete and blacktop would cause further sheet flow because there would be nowhere for it to go. In winter months of drought, this could very likely cause our shallow wells to dry up. Will the school district replace our wells? We are a quiet, peaceful, dark skies community. Directly adjacent and across from the property have 20/20 preserves. The disturbance this school would cause in our rural lifestyle and the wildlife would be existential. School sports, lighting, and noise, and of course traffic. There's livestock in the immediate area. It is told us that it's because of, also I talked to FDOT, they will not be widening Joel Boulevard.
Thank you, ma'am. Will the following individuals please line up? Jerry Ware, Christy DiVigili, Robert Roper.
I am Smoking Joe. In a recent email to a former board member, Ms. Betsy Vaughn, Chairman Persons told the recipient, and I quote, not to listen to anything Smoking Joe says. He's vile. I don't pay any attention to him or anyone associated with him, end quote. The very fact that you admittedly boast that you're derelict in your elected duties and refuse to listen to the concerns of the community should be cause enough for you to be removed from this board. Truth will always be the truth, regardless of ignorance. Truth. I come to this board and advocated for a child who, unprotected by this district, was beaten. Truth. Chairpersons ignored the severity of this incident, and Superintendent Bernier even went as far as to say, don't believe everything you see on social media. Well, you better believe it if it comes from Smoking Joe, buddy. Truth. I even texted Superintendent and gave him a heads up that our staff was turning it over to the mainstream media. Not until Wink News aired the footage was it deemed significant. Truth. The only reason we have any public knowledge about this is because of a cell phone video. Armour clearly has a plan to change the negative behavior we have seen within his district by removing cell phones, the legitimate proof of his failures. Better yet, can you tell the public how much time and money was spent since last action meeting to search for highlight achievements from District 5 in an attempt to distract us from how vile your leadership is? Surprise, surprise, you didn't think we knew about that, did you? Taking away phones doesn't take away the problem. Highlighting individual achievements will never justify the lack of responsibility and shame that blankets District 5. Our children are being beaten, forced into dilapidated portables, undereducated, and you want to point out some highlights. Start with the highlights like this. Teacher fired for child abuse. One of the many students subjected to violence. Feces in sinks. Water fountains torn off walls. Teachers attempting suicide. Sexual abuse cover-ups. Drug cover-ups. If I had more than 3 minutes, I could keep going. There is a problem in District 5. It's not cell phones, it's called persons. Thank you. And I appreciate you coming and apologizing for me proving that I was right again. My wife was right. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Finkler. I live in Alva. I live near the school that's being proposed about a half a mile away. I'm here to ask you to please consider tabling this motion to approve the monies to move forward on this first phase and to actually explore other options. As somebody who is just a regular general citizen of Lee County who has no children going to Lee County public schools, I've come all the way down here from Alva to be able to speak to you today. One of the things that's very important in Alva is agriculture. This is very important in the state of Florida as well as Lee County. Having this diverse economy is something that we need to continue. With the continued growth within Lee County and putting a new school out there, this is something that I think would be counterproductive. And I would ask you to go explore other options that have more infrastructure and less impact on the environment. One of the things of living half a mile from this proposed school would be around, my concerns would be around the light and sound pollution or the noise pollution that we would experience. And as somebody who owns poultry, as my neighbors who own livestock, this is important because noise and light pollution affects their businesses, something that I personally do, and I would rather have more of a natural situation out there than the continued growth. The lack of infrastructure on Jewel Boulevard and on Tuckahoe is something that's very concerning to me. Every morning when I sit outside and have my coffee, I sit there and I listen to people speeding down Packing House Road, and they go Packing House to Tuckahoe. I can see them from my back pool, people speeding down there. If you're building a school there, there's definitely a need for safety. And speaking of safety, this continued growth and the lack of infrastructure on Jewel Boulevard and Tuckahoe is something that's very important. You're going to have potentially more accidents. When I pulled into the school board facility here, which I've never been to before, there was an accident right outside of there because Colonial Boulevard is so ridiculously packed with traffic. So one of the things I just want to make sure that you understand is there are residents who have not come here to voice their opinions. My neighbors, feel the same way. there's not a lot of us over there on Packing House, on the dirt side of Packing House, and on Stiles Road on Packing House. But all of us, I feel it's very important that you guys reconsider a different location that's more amenable.
Good evening, Mr. Parson, all of the school board members, Dr. Brenier. This is Jerry Ware. I'm here advocating for transportation in the Dunbar community for after-school programs. We have been meeting all along with the rollout of the proximity plan, trying to address what we knew would be problems with transportation after school. And it been very productive. Dr. Malloy, always very good at trying to help resolve the problems. So in July, we thought we had it all ironed out. But lo and behold, last week, about Thursday or Friday, I got a disturbing call that one of the bus stops, or two of the bus stops, had been changed and was going to really cause a very dire problem for the kids, especially going to the Stars Complex. So fortunately, I called Dr. Malloy. Unfortunately, he did not answer. I want to congratulate him on his new assignment, but I really, really needed him. However, on Saturday, we had the backpack giveaway by Javon Curse. And fortunately, Jared, I had never met him, Jared McKinney, was there. And I introduced myself. He said, yeah, Miss Ware, I know. Here's my phone number, and you can feel free to call me. We met, and he reassured me today that the problem that we thought that had emerged is no longer. So hopefully, everything is going to run smoothly. And I'm a big dreamer of things, but I'm also a realist, so I know we're going to have issues. But fortunately, I can say I want to thank you all, even with the advent of the proximity plan, for the efforts that you all executed to try to make it a smooth thing for us in our community. Thank you.
My name's Robert Daniels, back for round two. At the close of the last meeting and the comments that were provided, it was made very obvious that we are now currently on the same page. The message has been heard loud and clear, it was stated. So what I would like to propose at this time is a partnership between the school board, the teachers, the support staff, and everyone else. A few years ago, we came together, we pushed through the county, and although it passed by a narrow margin, we did get it done for the half-cent sales tax for the Capitol building. If it's only through political will and political motion across the entire county that we can get money into the pockets of teachers, 7 of whom in the last week have made comments on being priced out of their own houses that they own because of the difference in insurance bills and other necessities of living in the county, then let's come together one more time and make that happen with that support. And I am sure when it's told and written out in perfect legalese that it's earmarked only for the salaries for the people who interact directly with our students and make their safety and education possible, that the people of Lee County will go for it. Because I, as a taxpayer, know that there's nothing more dangerous to my home and my possessions than going back to what it was like before we had reliable public education for all of our students, where students between the ages of 3 and 18 simply roamed the neighborhoods in groups, bored out of their minds, looking for trouble to cause. And that is the last thing we need in our county and the last thing we need in our neighborhoods. And as a taxpayer, I would be more than happy to even see my property taxes double if I knew it was going to the fire department, the teachers, and the police officers in this county. I resent every dollar I pay out in income tax, but when it's for local services, I think you'll find people feel differently about it. And I know a number of you ran as conservatives, and the number one thing is to not increase taxes. But again, I think if we work together, we can get this done. Thank you.
Good evening, Christy DiVigili. I just have a couple of things tonight. First, I'd like to start by asking you guys to please keep a watchful eye on this new mental health allocation plan. I understand that as a district, we must follow the guidance given to us by the DOE, but just please be vigilant and don't allow for overreach in this area. The internal audit, I'm just wondering what's being done about the listing of findings reported and recommendations for the 2020-21 school year. Apparently we have 10 schools that are repeat offenders from fiscal year 20 and one school that has been habitually offending in multiple areas since 2018. So I'm just kind of wondering what is being done to ensure compliance, especially since the findings include things like material weaknesses in multiple areas, including the cash receipt process, the fundraising accounting process, the fee-based programs, all the way up to schools receiving donations ranging anywhere from $250 to $1,000 and not formally acknowledging the donations as required by board policy. So I'm just wondering if that stuff's still going on. And then I'd like to finish by saying thank you to the district for correcting the 7 elementary schools that were out of compliance with regard to their Destiny login information being made publicly available. I checked this morning and they were all fixed, so thank you. I also received an email from the district about a week ago notifying me of the removal of a book that I challenged at my daughter's school, which I am grateful for. However, I am still able to locate that book when I log into my daughter's school library on Destiny, and it shows me that there are additional copies at Estero High School and one other high school, I can't remember right now. So I'm just wondering if that information is accurate or what the deal is with that. And then I would humbly ask that you guys please choose option B for the challenge book process parental consent form tonight. That's all. Thank you.
Robert Roper. When I used to take road trips with my family, we used to play a game called I Spy. You might have played that game when you were younger or with your kids. I spy something black, I spy something round, and the kids would have to look around and see if they could find it. So we're going to play a game, I Spy. I'm inviting the board, the district staff, and any citizen that's here tonight to play along. Raise your hand when you have the right answer. I spy a book in the Lee County Public School Middle School, that means 11-year-olds have access to it, that says on page 19, F all that, I boned a bunch of girls just so I could get off and get better. Or page 167 that says, and raise your hand if you figure out what book it is, they're talking about how to get a girl wet with only fingers and how you don't need a condom if you're hitting it from the back. Or page 176, Brendan runs up to me and says, yo, yo, I just got my first blowjob. Anybody know what book I'm talking about? Then how does a parent go on Destiny and block that book? It's impossible. It's a book that's been challenged. You can look it up later. Those are facts, actual quotes from the book without any alteration. I could go on, but my point's made. How does a parent protect their own child without a title? The parent consent form, where you block it on Destiny that was presented today, is not totally worthless, but it's pretty much against stuff like this. The only substantial difference between option A or Form A and Form B is that Form B defaults to protecting that 11-year-old from this material. Form B or option B allows for any parent to allow access for all the media material for their own child. There's no reason not to vote that in. Is there anyone in this room that would want to expose an 11-year-old child to that content? That 11-year-old child with unknown maturity, unknown learning disabilities or challenges, and unknown personal struggles. For the sake of all that is good, I'm asking you please to follow through and vote in option 2 or B today. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you. I believe there is no vote on option A or B tonight. it was decided that we're doing option B at the previous meeting, or briefing today. So that's already done.
Chair.
Dr. Bernier, do you have any comments?
Just a couple of comments. One to Mrs. Hall. I've already had staff step out. I've seen her emails. I know that she's been responded to. We will continue to look into that situation. As many who have more experience in our school district know, it's very difficult because certain schools fill up very quickly, and then student assignment does its very best it can. We'll look more into that medical waiver. Dr. Spiro has already made contact with her this evening. I want to make sure that our last business meeting, I also made a promise, and I also made a statement that I believed information regarding an issue. In responding to Mrs. Phillips, I was inaccurate and I misspoke. Later on the day after or the day after that, I contacted the Phillips by phone. I made my apology there, but I promised them that I would make the apology public. So that's what I'm doing tonight. When it comes to Alva, I think we have some additional work that we need to do potentially. I will tell you that this is not a school site that is new. It has been purchased a number of years ago. It was rezoned in order to put a school building on it. There were public meetings and public things that went on at the time. But since there have been a couple of questions, I believe you can go ahead with phase one because it primarily is a design process. It is not any type of construction. It will not, as far as I know, will not begin construction, but I will get that confirmed. So if the board would like that item to move off the agenda, we could do that for now. I still think we have enough time to get a high school ready on the east side of town. I know we're talking about Alva, not Lehigh Acres, so I apologize if that comment was directed at me. As to transportation, I go back to one of our last work sessions we recently had. I know there's been a lot of work with particular city and other providers, but I do believe over time that what our families want is they want our children to get to school on time. In order to do that, we've had to do an elementary proximity plan. We plan to be out again this fall talking about a middle school proximity plan. Right now, on a daily basis, our elementary school proximity plan will save more than 15,000 miles per day. That allows for not less bus drivers in terms of the total number. All of our bus drivers have a position, but the number of vacancies we've had has been significantly reduced, and currently we have less than 30 routes that are uncovered, which means we're in a much better situation moving into this fall than we've been in a long time in the district, and certainly within my tenure. As to interest-based bargaining, I do want to just make sure that our union is very clearly aware, both our unions, that we will not form a committee necessarily to bargain. There is a process by which unions bargain with their administrators and administration and this board. We will be moving into executive session in early August in order to find what we refer to as bargaining authority to bring forward to our unions, and that will impact all of our employees, our support professionals, our teachers, and our administrators. Thank you to those individuals who came to the podium and said that we actually can solve a problem. I think we solve a lot of problems on a daily basis, but people don't normally come to the podium to give us kudos, and when it happens, I think it's important. And to the chairman's point, there is no vote. What the board did today at the briefing was they provided additional direction surrounding option B, and the staff left that particular briefing and is already working on it. If I've missed something, I'll get it updated in a board update.
Thank you. Next is the approval of action items in the agenda under consent. The documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 business days prior to the board meeting. We're expected to review all the material, and we have the opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding these recommendations. Some of these items have also been briefed or workshopped with the board in advance of appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion under the unfinished business tabled items portion? Mr. Fisher?
No said items.
Mrs. Giovanelli?
I have none.
Ms. Slinker Fleming?
I have none.
Ms. Morgan?
I'm going to pull L22 for discussion.
I was going to do that.
Oh.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda's consent action items with the exception of the pulled item L22?
I motion.
Ms. Langford Fleming motions.
I'll second.
Ms. Giovanelli
Second.
seconds. Please record your vote. The motion carries 5-0. Dr. Bernier, would you please introduce any administrators in attendance for the new assignment that was approved on the consent agenda?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the board, members of the public, we are pleased to announce several names today that have been anxiously awaited at their schools and locations. I'd ask the individuals, if they're here tonight, to please rise. I would like to recognize John Noland, Island Coast High School, who will become the Director of Athletics and Activities. Additionally, we have Natalie Wright, who will be joining our application services team as a coordinator in information systems. Ellen Gergol, Cape Coral High School, will be an assistant principal. Wendy Perdigon will be joining Lehigh Senior High School as an assistant principal. Janelle Morales will be joining Oak Hammock Middle School as their newest assistant principal. Corey Tracy will be joining Orangewood Elementary School family as an assistant principal. Stephanie Knapp will be joining Skyline Elementary School as an assistant principal. Shannon Dees will be joining Treeline Elementary School as an assistant principal. Rebecca Shine will be joining Bonita Springs High School as an assistant principal. Michelle Kerr-Hweck will be joining Colonial Elementary as an assistant principal. Janelle Marks will be joining East County High School, East Lee County High as an assistant principal. Carol Hogger will be joining Estero High School as their new assistant principal. Gregory Rasner will be joining Lehigh Acres Middle as an assistant principal. And finally, Shannon Shaw will be joining the family of Tropic Isles Elementary as an assistant principal. Mr. Chair, considering the appointments to the assistant principals and the principals gathered in the room, we always talk about this as an appointment of trust. That you as individuals will have a very important responsibility ensuring the trajectory of our children are met and they reach his or her highest potential. We are after building a world-class school system, which means we have to shoot for world-class each and every day. Those are huge goals and huge things to try to accomplish each and every day. But we hope that you'll rise each and every day and work towards those outcomes. To the family members gathered with you, thank you in advance for the support you will provide to them, because they will need it. They will be tired, probably beginning tomorrow, and they will need additional coffee and sustenance upon returning from their schools and their locations. To the principals and assistant principals in the room who are helping, thank you for your mentorship, your leadership, and your ability, because getting them, right, same thing with our teachers. Recruiting someone to join your family is one thing, retaining them and keeping them, no matter whether they're a bus driver, paraprofessional, teacher, or assistant principal, or a principal, or any member of this team. Keeping them is the essential piece of the work we have. So best of luck to you in 23-24. I look forward to seeing you at the buildings. I know our chair does as well as my fellow board members. Mr. Chair, if they promise to get up quietly, since we do have a pulled item, is there any chance that we could send them out for a last round of ice cream at one of our local establishments?
Absolutely.
Those individuals just appointed and the principals and the other people joining them, please go out and enjoy and celebrate. It's a great honor.
We don't get to go with them?
Sit back down. Try this again, kids. They're in school tomorrow. They can actually celebrate.
All right, we have one pulled item to address. It's L22, NNN. Dr. Manier, would you please read your recommendation for the pulled item?
The recommended action is approval for Phase 1 pre-construction budget estimates in the amount of $6,785,469 for the NNN High School. New construction. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute the related documents.
Is there a motion to adopt Dr. Manier's recommendation? Or is Mr. Fisher?
Yeah, motion to adopt superintendent's recommendation on item L22 for Triple N High School.
A second?
I'll second that. I'll second that, thank you.
Okay, discussion. Ms. Morgan, would you like to start?
So I pulled this because the superintendent did say that approval this evening is not essential. I think, given the fact that we have a new COO, we have a new board that has not been briefed on this property, I think I would like to see this item essentially tabled until after the board has been briefed on it. I think there are some concerns about the property. Again, I think this was approved by the previous board, not the current board, in terms of moving forward, and I think it behooves us, given the concern being raised by Alva Inc., to look closely at this property and the impact on the community. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Thank you, Ms. Morgan, for pulling that item. Also, I'd like to bring it to the board's attention that the agenda for August 8th has middle school. And I've actually already done my work for that and briefing that, and I had made a comment that I think we need our board, the new board, briefed on the 5 to 10 year plan. I think that was a recommendation of the superintendent when you brought this up on Wednesday or whatever last week. So that would be my recommendation, that I'm not opposed to tabling it and having the whole board briefed on it all the plans for new schools. Because if I remember correctly, I thought Alva Inc. wanted the school there back when it was between Gateway and that. So I would love the history, a reminder of that, because for some reason, I thought that's what my recollection was, that they wanted it. But, I mean, obviously, things change 5 years from then and so forth. So I think we do need to have community input, and I think that's really important. And I think that the new board needs to be up to speed on the 5 to 10 year plan. And so I'm not opposed to you tabling your table, and I would support your table, and as well as being briefed on the next one in August, that's coming up on August 8th, the middle school as well. So, thank you.
Mr. Fisher, you have any comments, or? It's not in your district.
Yeah. I'm willing to table it if that's what the board's desire is. I don't think we want to get too far in tabling it for too long, at least. But I agree. So, I mean, if it's a brief table, I'd be on board with it.
Director Fleming, you have anything to add?
I do not.
Yeah, there's no doubt that we need a high school in the East District, and a middle school. Okay, it's the fastest growing district. So the question becomes where we put it, obviously. And I think I would like a little more briefing on that also. Is the best way to proceed to table it would be to vote this motion nay, I believe.
So vote this motion, and then somebody please make a motion to table.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have any other discussion on this motion to approve the superintendent? Okay, this will be a roll call vote. Mr. Fisher?
No.
Ms. Giovanelli?
No.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
Nay.
Ms. Morgan?
No.
And I'm a no. Motion fails 5-0. Is there a motion to table this? I would entertain it. Ms. Morgan?
Yeah, I move that we table L22 to the next board meeting.
August.
Yeah, whatever it is.
August 8th.
Yeah, okay.
We have a workshop before that.
We've got to, but it must be workshopped or briefed before that. So is that possible?
We're in the middle of a Robert's Rules issue. I'm going to defer to Kathy.
So, Ms. Morgan, what you could do is just frame your motion to say, instead of putting a definite time of August 8th, that it be brought forth at the next action meeting after it's been briefed to the board. So maybe rephrase the motion.
What she said. I will say it again. I move that we table item L22 to the next board meeting following the board's opportunity to have a briefing or workshop on NNN.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion was moved by Ms. Morgan and seconded by Ms. Giovanelli. There'll be another roll call vote, discussion.
Just real quick, is this something that the community needs to speak on, this motion now?
Well, this is based on the superintendent's recommendation, so there's no additional public comment because it's directly related to a recommendation of the superintendent.
Okay, thank you. So I believe we have a meeting Wednesday that has the agenda for the middle school. So I don't know if we can get briefed. Is that too soon to be briefed on the 5 to 10 year plan?
Mr. Chair?
Because that would help. That would help.
So, yes.
Me, I'm sorry, because I'm going to be concerned, I'm sorry.
There are a couple things happening all at once here. So I don't know that it's essential, but it's important to move expeditiously with the input of the community if that's what the board requires and desires. I think it's really important that we listen and that we have a chance to get you up to speed. When you think about 5 and 10 year plans, we're right in between two of them. NNN has always been in the 5 and 10 year plan previously approved, which was the way the board was conducting business. That's why this land was purchased. That's why this land was purchased in a manner and means which was publicly advertised. People knew why we were purchasing the land, and I think it's clear for full transparency. That site is eligible to hold 2 sites. NNN is a high school, and then on that same piece of property would be middle school OO. So I don't want the community to be confused by Ms. Giovanelli, not that Ms. Giovanelli is confusing, but just that Ms. Giovanelli is making a comment about something else that's due on the agenda. Rather than me making an armchair decision at this moment, allow me to get back, work with our Chief Operations Officer and the construction team, make sure that we could get this briefed, because right now my team is very heavily involved in finalizing the new 10-year plan, for which is supposed to come to you at our next workshop. So we could potentially, and I mean that very sincerely until I check, we could potentially put NNN and OO into a pre-presentation on the former 10-year plan before introducing the new 10-year plan. But I don't want to put NNN and OO in the new plan is what I'm saying. We want to update you, make sure you're up to speed as to the whys and how things were purchased and how things went on, and then we can proceed with our new 10-year plan and then get direction from the board as to how to proceed to bring this to a meeting in August.
Thank you. So that's why I brought that up, is because I felt that they both kind of go hand in hand somewhat, and the discussion would be opportunity for the community as well as the new board to be up to speed. So thank you, Dr. Bernier. I think that's a great idea to just get us up to, it's a refresher for me. That was in my actually notes. It's a refresher for me of what happened and you know, in this plan, and then as well as up to speed for the new board members. So thank you.
Okay, roll call vote to table this. Mr. Fisher?
Aye.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Aye.
Ms. Dr. Fleming?
Aye.
Ms. Morgan?
Aye.
And I am an aye. So the motion to passes 5-0. Next on our agenda is a resolution regarding Student Crime Watch Program. This is a resolution of the School Board of Lee County, Florida regarding school safety. Pursuant to section 1006.073, Florida statutes implementing a student crime watch program to promote responsibility among students and improve school safety and providing an effective date. Whereas the School Board of Lee County, Florida, the school board, acting as the governing body of the School District of Lee County, Florida, the district, and constitutes a body corporate pursuant to section 1001.40 Florida state statutes. And whereas the school board does hereby adopt the following resolution in a duly noticed public meeting, and whereas the school board desires to keep its students safe, secure, and free from harm, and whereas section 1006.073 Florida state statutes requires the school board to implement a student crime watch program by resolution to promote responsibility among students and improve student safety. Whereas the Student Crime Watch program shall allow students and the community to anonymously relay information concerning unsafe and potentially harmful, dangerous, violent, or criminal activities or the threat of these activities to the appropriate public safety agencies and school officials. And whereas the school board provides a Student Crime Watch program utilizing the local Student Crime Stoppers hotline and the Fortify Florida Suspicious Activity Reporting Tool to instantly relay information to appropriate law enforcement agencies and school officials. Therefore, be it resolved, the School Board of Lee County, Florida adopts the following resolution in support of school safety as follows. Section 1, the foregoing recitals are true and correct and are incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, the school board provides a Student Crime Watch program utilizing the local Student Crime Stoppers hotline and the Fortify Florida anonymous suspicious activity reporting tool to instantly relay information to appropriate law enforcement agencies and school officials. Section 3, the student is directed to procedures to effectuate this resolution. Superintendent, excuse me, is directed to procedures to effectuate this resolution. Section 4, effective date, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. At this time, is there a motion to adopt the resolution on school safety? Mr. Fisher?
Motion to adopt item 01, resolution regarding the Student Crime Watch program.
Is there a second?
I second.
Ms. Langford Fleming? Seconds. Moved by Mr. Fisher and seconded by Ms. Langford Fleming. Prior to the board's discussion, we will open the floor for public comment on the resolution under the same guidelines previously advised by Attorney Dupe Bruno earlier in the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board on this resolution? Seeing none. Board members, Fisher has made a motion to adopt the resolution of school safety, and it was properly seconded by board member Langford Fleming. At this time, the floor is open for discussion. Is there any? I'll say, I think it's a great program. Okay, board, you've heard the comments. Now we're prepared to vote on the motion to adopt the resolution. Please record your vote. Motion carries 5-0. The resolution carries 5-0. Next on our agenda is the good of the order and other business. Board members' comments and reports. Mr. Fisher, I'll start with you tonight.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, many of us able to attend the new teacher orientation, I guess we call it graduation down at South Fort Myers. That was my first. That was fantastic. Just to see the energy in that room, I wish we could bottle up that energy for everyone else. So I was truly inspired by it and excited to see our new educators. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Mrs. Giovanelli.
Thank you. That was actually that was on my list. We also had the ribbon cutting for Amana Sierra, and that was wonderful. I wore a Lemuel teal shirt there, but that's because I don't have an Amana Sierra, so I'm going to get one, I know, real soon because I keep saying it. So, but I'm excited about things happening, the new things happening in the East Zone and the new schools. So. Tomorrow is going to be Lemuel Teal, and I welcome anybody that can attend that tomorrow. It'll be exciting for that new opening of that school. I want to always say that I will always vote and support the safety of students and children, and that is what I feel like that is one of the things that I'm here for, is to make sure and to protect children always and educate children, and that means all, and I will always advocate for that. And so I'm just bringing that up this evening because we worked very hard today. It was a very long conversations, and it's been ongoing regarding the form, the challenge form for books, but I think at the end of the day, it protects children, and that's the most important thing for me as a school board member. I also want to welcome all the brand new teachers and the orientation. They were very excited, and I'm sure that'll last until, I hope, by December when they get their Christmas break, and then they'll be back in full force to go to start in January in 2024. So I welcome all the new teachers. I welcome all the teachers back. I think they're back this week, if I'm not mistaken, and preparing their classrooms and just getting ready for the first day of school. And I hope that their first week is uneventful and that it's exciting and they have a great great week. It's like the first day of school when you were a youngster, you know, I would plan my outfit would be for the day, and then I wouldn't sleep that night, and because you were so excited about the first day of school. And so that's how these teachers were the other day, and I hope that continues. And then I just want to congratulate all the new appointments and the promotions, and I look forward to many more. Thank you.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
Yes, I was able to make it over there, and the energy was infectious. I remember my first day teaching in my very first job. I had third graders, and I'll always remember that class, and I'm sure that these teachers will remember. And you're right, we do pick out our first day of school outfits. That is true. But welcome to Lee County, and thank you for all in advance of all that you are going to do for the students of Lee County. I do want to say a huge thank you to all of the staff, educators and administrators who worked tirelessly this summer in our summer school programs. I was grateful that I got the opportunity to go visit a school for the day out in Tice Elementary, and wow, you want to talk about some rock stars out there. So I am anxious to go visit them back in the fall. So thank you so much to those, and I look forward to hearing about all the wonderful things 23-24 is going to behold this year in the Lee County School District. And that is all. Thank you.
Ms. Morgan?
I have nothing, thank you.
Yeah, the new teachers, I got to welcome them on Monday. They were sort of quiet, sort of smiling. They didn't know anybody. I mean, most of them didn't know the people sitting next to them. But by the end of the week, they all knew each other. And the excitement, if you can remember back to the big football or basketball pep rallies, that's what it was. They were all super excited. And then after that, they went to the foundation, where they were able to load up on all the supplies they needed for their new classroom, and they were just very thankful. So it was a great week there. Also, the backpack giveaway, there were several around the area. I went to the one at the stadium. They gave out 2,000 backpacks full of supplies, boxes of food, and also came with it. And that was a wonderful time. Very hot, but a wonderful time. So that's all I have for tonight. Dr. Bernier.
Just a couple of things. Again, I'll echo the sentiments of a great opportunity to open a Montessori Elementary. At the same time, I think it's important to know that Lambs will be also opening its additional middle school seats. And while we didn't have a formal ribbon cutting for Lambs' additional seats, it gives us more middle school seats, which are desperately needed out east. Lemuel Teal, again, tomorrow, thank you for raising that. To the school teachers, you've touched on just about everything, except I thought about being a first-year teacher and sitting in a faculty meeting, and I wish our principals were still in the room, because my principal had thought of everything for her beginning teachers. We had extra stuff, extra pencils, extra supplies, and in her first faculty meeting, she talked about the first period of the first day and how it might run a little bit long as we oriented our sixth graders to the middle school curriculum, and she said, reach into your bag of tricks. I was so new, I actually looked under the table for a bag, because I assumed she had provided a bag of tricks as well. So I want to congratulate Lynn Harrell, her team. Oh, yes, the teachers who worked all the summer programs were fantastic. But I'm telling you, I never quite understood until this year, because I always encourage people to get away in the summer and find whatever relights them or whatever re-energizes them. And I came to the conclusion after spending some time this past week watching our teachers interact with our newest teachers, that that's really what does relight them. They love this opportunity to give back, and it's so apparent by the outcome that all of you know. Lastly, I think the only thing I'd want to add is that we have a really important meeting Wednesday night with all of our fall head coaches. I want our community to know that we take the safety of our students, both in school, on the athletic fields, as being very important. So we'll be making sure we're going over requirements and ensuring that our coaches and athletic directors have great direction. We've already been meeting with them, but this would be the final meeting to meet with the coaches as well. And then finally, I would like you to calendar, if you can, at South Fort Myers High School, which we need to also congratulate for our new teachers program. Without Ed Matthews and South Fort Myers Myers High. We don't have a beginning teacher program this summer. He and his staff rolled out the red carpet and will be doing so again. It's funny how things run in cycles. But Ed has also volunteered his auditorium for this coming Saturday, August 5th, for our second annual summer school commencement program. As you recall, last year, we had about 7 or 8 students that graduated. We had 3 that attended. This year, we're at almost 20, and we have more than just about 30 students who have completed their graduation requirements. And like I said, every student back into the system who has a diploma is a student with a better future. So hopefully you'll join us 10 a.m. at South for our summer school commencement. Our goal here is for it to continue to rise until it doesn't have to. Right? The goal is we want to make sure we're getting as many seniors across the board as possible, but eventually we don't want to have a summer school graduation. We want our students to be able to walk in May with their classmates and be done. But as long as there are students in need, this school district and the board leadership will allow us to provide for that. So thank you for providing those dollars and the necessary work to ensure that more of our seniors have the opportunity to cross the stage.
Mr. DePay Bruno, I'm sorry, I skipped over you.
That's okay, I have nothing, Mr. Chairman, thank
Okay.
you.
That's why I skipped you. On Wednesday, August 2nd, there will be a board workshop at 12 p.m. On Tuesday, August 8th, there'll be a board briefing at 1 p.m. followed by a board action meeting. At this point, seeing no other business to come before us, this body, and seeing no objection, this meeting is now adjourned. And the time is 7:05.